Hey guys, Ray from Haloview RV. So about a week ago, I showed you this BT11 Haloview wireless rear monitor and dash cam system. It's their latest system in their Byte Tango models. I've reviewed a few of those before, the BT12 and the BT7, as well as other Haloview and their blind spot radar system. I'll link back to those in case you missed those. But in this one, I'm just back to give you some footage as promised and kind of my final review, maybe which of these three systems that I'm going to continue using and why. In the first video here, I just went through the installation process and we went through its settings, and I just gave you a quick demo, but I was in a driveway so I couldn't do much. But now I've done about a 150-mile trip, so I have some footage for you and my impressions. So let's start with some footage. I'll give you footage of the camera in action, the recordings that it did, and also it has a blind spot for the rear camera, and I'll give you a look at that in action as well. Okay, first here's how we set up the blind spot detection. I didn't get the auto calibrate to work, so I had to do manual, but you basically on one edge you pick on the left hand side, and then you pick in the middle, and then you find the left hand line, and that sets up a range of where it'll pick up vehicles on each side but not right behind you. Pretty easy to set up. You can mess around with the calibration and then it can get better as it goes. And here you can see it going off as some people come up the side. Here's a highway, car passing me on the driver's side, and here's some cars passing on the passenger side. So there's a different tone each side, and you don't need to have the tones on. I just had this for demo. I prefer just to have the red come on. You can see it kind of shows up just as the vehicle's nearing the back end of your vehicle, then turns off. Next we have some video from the forward dash cam. My other dash cam's kind of in the way on the right, so that normally wouldn't be there, but it was pretty good color, pretty good brightness on the dash cam. There's no complaints as far as that goes with the dash cam footage. And then you can hear it beep as a car goes by me. A couple beep beep was in my blind spot at that time. The signs are a little bit blurry, not overly sharp. You're not going to be able to read license plates very easy off this footage, but that's kind of par for the course with dash cams. They use quite a fish-eyed camera on them, so it's really hard for them to have resolution on a tiny thing like a license plate if you're any distance away. Also, there's motion blur that happens as you're driving in motion. You need a different type of dash cam to pick up license plates. People always ask, will it read a license plate? Not usually. And here we go. This is on the back of the RV, what I would look at in my mirror. So it worked pretty good. Not too much stutter. We have a pretty good connection. Everything is in motion. It's pretty fluid. Pretty good, good resolution, good color and brightness balance on there. So I'm quite happy with the footage that's coming off of that rear camera through the wireless system. This is me just going through a typical city scene. You know, fairly slow, cars merging, that sort of thing going by. So this is really the killer app for these things, just to be able to see this view out the back of the RV is just golden, so you can see what's going on, because in my mirrors I wouldn't see most of these people right behind me like this. I can see down the side really well, but it's just to see who is right behind me and changing lanes, that sort of thing. And here's more at highway speed, so we're probably going, I don't know, probably about 60 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour here. So it's still doing pretty good at not stuttering too much with so much landscape going by. This fence kind of tells you that's really hard for the camera to process all that data that's going through, and it does a pretty good job. A little bit of stuttering, but not too bad. Still maintains pretty fluid motion throughout that scene. And everything is looking reverse to you because I have it set for rear view mirror. People always ask me, they say, what's wrong with your camera? Anyway, here's pulling into an RV park. This is what you're going to see in the rear view mirror display there. So I'll just pull into this RV park so you can kind of get a look at what the footage looks like, and then we'll do a back into our actual camp spot so you can see how it will fare using it as a backup camera. Ann and I have been RVing a long time, so she's pretty good at spotting me. We don't really need it too much, but it comes in handy. I can actually see her in the mirror and then also in this display at the same time, so I find that kind of helpful to know where she is. So I stopped and let her out, and now we're gonna do the back in. Pretty easy spot here. I was able to pull through to another site and then just back her in. So got a good clear view behind me and then a little bit of a distance as well. And then we'll just let her guide me in. So pretty decent picture, good resolution and everything, good color. People often ask about night footage. I don't find these cameras has terrific night footage. They're getting better and better all the time, but if you're in really dark scenes or you have really a lot of bright lights, it can be kind of distracting on them. Here's where I've actually in software flipped the view. So this would be if you're looking right out the back window what you would see. So this is the normal look of the traffic. So you can flip it back if you have video editing software if you're going to use the footage for something. So this thing does have a floodlight on it. If you look right here, there's a button that you can push. And push it and it can turn on and off a floodlight, which can be handy for backing into places. Turn it off. Show you on the display here. Just have it pointed back through at our campsite. So that's without it right now. It's not quite totally dark yet. I'll push it and you can see the light come on. There's off. On, off. Let's take you out and we can have a look at it. So it doesn't have a huge range. Maybe about like 25 feet or so, but could be helpful for backing in when it's pitch black. So there you go. Let's get into my feelings of these. As far as the BT11 system that you just saw, the installation is very simple. So I think someone who doesn't want to get too into the weeds as far as wiring things up could install that very easily. Even the rear camera, you can buy a battery to plug into it if you don't want to wire it into the RV. There was a few negatives though. I found the blind spot on this one was a little flaky. Sometimes it wouldn't pick up the vehicle. It just picks up the vehicle in a very narrow area at the back. Kind of useful, but if you really want blind spot radar, I wouldn't pick this system to do that. I would get their dedicated actual with real wireless radar that you set up on the back. It's quite expensive, so you've got to really want the blind spot detection, but this is far superior to what's in here. This is kind of more of a gadget thing. Kind of works. I found when I was on my RV, I tried it on my RV up at about 10 feet, and it didn't do as well as when I tried it again, kind of my back of my truck level. It was more consistent with picking up the vehicles. Also, it's kind of a smaller screen than the others, and I found its brightness. I was in full sun and I could make out the picture adequately, but I didn't find it overly bright. I found it kind of a little bit dim on my mirror there. It does have an impact sensor, so which is nice, this system here, because it has the dash cam built in and it has a GPS. So I found the impact sensor is handy to have if your vehicle gets in a collision. It's supposed to, record and protect that 30 seconds or so of recording. And it also has the GPS, although as far as the software goes, it seemed to work as far as there's a PC thing to play back, and to play back fine, but for some reason the GPS wasn't giving me coordinates. The map was still showing me somewhere in China, so I don't know if maybe that's a bug or something that needs to be worked out there, but it didn't work too good in my tests. Actually, I'll give you a quick little video clip of me using they have a software called GX Player, and I'll put a clip in there of me driving in North America, in British Columbia, and it's showing me as I'm somewhere in China, so I don't know what's up there. Now, how does it compare to other ones? Back in the winter, I reviewed the BT12. Now, the BT12 I kind of like because it had a wired dash cam, which isn't very good for your front window because it's so big, but in my use case, I put it on the back window and I use it as a rear-facing camera for hitching up, and when I'm unhitched, I could just, use it as a rear view mirror. So I kind of like that system. That's what I'm going to continue using. I like this screen. It's a little bit bigger than this screen, but still tucked up nicely on my truck's mirror out of the way. Overall, it has the CarPlay and Android audio, but I don't really use that, and I didn't really like how it worked as far as the audio goes. It only used its speaker, or it went through the radio, and there's a little bit of crackle and stuff. So I didn't find that those features were any good to me. It uses the phone's GPS for stuff, so you have to have your phone on, and you have to have data on for the GPS to work. So that's kind of a drawback. But I really like the screen. Good video on it. And I like having that little dash cam that I can put on the rear window. The other system I've used, the BT7 here. It's kind of, if you want to have multiple cams, it's the best one to go with, because you can have just the one cam using a rear light, or you can have your own mounted cam, or you can have side signals, or you can have up to 4 cams with that system. It's also probably got the best picture because it has the biggest screen. It's got a full kind of HD screen, where these ones, they're kind of squashed down and you have to use your finger to move up and down to see everything. You kind of have to line it up because it's kind of a really wide screen, whereas this gives you the full view. The drawback for me is it's kind of big, and when I mount it on my mirror, it kind of sticks down a bit. That's why I decided to stick with this one. This also will sync to the blind spot radar that I showed you here, this blind spot radar, and you can have it set up that when you pass a vehicle, the actual picture will change and show the side view. So that's kind of interesting. If someone has a use case for that, that would be the system to go for that. So like I say, they all work pretty good. Like, I haven't had any problems on my rig with any dropouts or any problems with the wireless connections having any issues. And they all record in the 1080p format. So overall, the byte tango, I think, is the way to go with the Haloview systems now. They've really kind of perfected that wireless system. And they keep coming out with different models here, so that's good. Anyway, if you have any questions or anything, just leave comments in the description and below the description on the YouTube video, and I'll try to answer them for you. Till next time, Ray from Love Your RV. Thanks for watching, everyone. Cheers, folks.